Welcome to the Abundant Mind Show. I am your host, Dr. Jake Hansen, and our thought for the day that leads us into a very dear friend, colleague, and someone I highly look up to is this. That which we persist in doing becomes easier to do. Not that the nature of the task has changed, but the power to do is increased. Every time I look at this guy, I see him achieving incredible things. We are talking to a former Olympian. When I first read about this gentleman here, I had read that he had just competed in the Olympics, had an incredible experience in the Olympics, and he was what the world would say would be giving up a future to dedicate his life to what he believed. And he went and we met each other as missionaries where we served the wonderful people. I've seen him grow throughout his life, and to have this mentality of incredible growth and success, and then being able to keep achieving a higher level of success through your mindset. So I welcome to the show with great honor and humility as I bring you on my dear friend, Robbie Pratt. Robbie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jake, or Dr. Hansen. Really appreciate that intro, and it's what fond memories working together with you during those 2 years on the mission. Those were good times, I tell you, high growth times.
Absolutely. As missionaries, our goal was, again, to help transform lives, to bring the happiness and joy that we had. And it was so wonderful to see the levels of happiness that was able to happen and to see that magnified through your leadership. And I've only seen you carry that on throughout your whole life. And so I'd like to talk about that. So at what age were you, number one, when you first competed in the Olympics?
So I was fairly young. I'd just gotten out of high school, and I just kind of went for it. And so I just took 2 years, trained full time, and kind of put my life on hold, and fortunately qualified and made the team, and was able to go compete in the Olympics when I was 20. So that was fairly long time ago.
That is incredible. So that mindset. We hear about people who, either their parents said, "Hey, I recognize something in you. Let's help you cultivate this." We see others where it came from within. Is that something that came from within you to say, like, I can do this. This is interesting to me, and I want to pursue it? How did that come to be?
I think like probably a lot of kids. As a kid, I had big dreams. I can remember one time as a 6-year-old running home, and just this neighbor just said, "Wow, you're so fast. I bet you're going to be in the Olympics one day." And I remember thinking, like, yes, I'm going to do that. And but I think every kid has that vision at some point, like, or maybe it's a wish, right? It's a dream. And then what happens is life happens, and decisions have to be made, and you either kind of figure out the pathway to get there and start down that pathway, or you don't, right? And so I think as I got older, there was a pathway that emerged that I could see it. I could see a glimpse, and I just jumped on that path and continued on it. And as I got older, was able to get closer and finally attain it. But certainly, I think a lot of life circumstances go into that, including the people that were around me had a huge influence on that, for sure.
I love that. As you can look back on your life and see the decisions you've made, it's very clear to me that you've had to have conversations with yourself. You've had to basically tell yourself, like, what is it that I want? And it's not just you just one day click and say, I'm going to be an Olympian, and then there you go. I mean, I'm going to have a multi-billion dollar with a B business to be able to create wealth and assets and strategies that bless people's lives. There has to have come a point where you've had conversations with yourself, but also being able to plan those moments. What did you have to do? So, after, after the Olympics, after you serve, you go to school, and there was a point where we were embarking down the same career. We were embarking down the career to chiropractic. I'm a doctor of chiropractic. I'm a serial entrepreneur now. Along with chiropractic, I'm able to bless, I feel fulfilled in what I get to do on multiple aspects. We were going down that path. Yet you had found that for you, that path wasn't right. And I see a lot of people that say, well, no, like this is my path. Here's why I want to do it. And they stick to that path. And they almost get golden handcuffed to it because they're like, well, it's a great opportunity. Yes, it could make me happy. Yes, I could help other people be happy and bring them happiness and joy and fulfillment and alleviate suffering. But you opted to do something different. What conversations did you have to have with yourself? What literally had to happen for you to be able to make those choices to understand, number one, that wasn't right for you, and you had a different vision and you decided to fulfill that vision?
I don't think there's one clear answer. I think the first thing, though, is you cannot be afraid to evolve in your thinking. I don't know. There's probably different phrases. I don't know if evolve is the right one. Adapt, adjust. Yeah. What I have found is my first thought is usually not my best thought. My first idea is not the best idea. It's an idea. It starts me thinking in a general direction, but I have found that I'm not close enough to the ground. I'm not close enough to the situation to fully understand the implications of that decision or that path. And as I get closer to that situation, I can see that road more clearly. I can also see maybe some other roads branching off more clearly as well, other opportunities, and say, while this was my original intent, this other path over here may match what I was trying to go for originally a little bit better. This one I was my original path maybe wasn't what I originally thought it was. And but this other one over here maybe fits a little bit better. So that adjustment to thinking has been a major theme in my life. I'll give you an example. I was when you referenced the sports career, my event in track and field was the pole vault. But I didn't start there. I started actually in sprinting. And then later that kind of evolved into the high jump. I was a high jumper all through high school. That was my main event. And it wasn't until a series of events, without going into the details, including some injuries, including some great chiropractors that actually got me into shape, which was kind of some of the impetus for why I wanted to go in that career path initially in the first place. But it wasn't until I did some searching and some real analysis and evaluation of my situation that I concluded, pole vault actually might be a better fit for me here, and going down that path. And it led to a much better outcome. I'm convinced I never could have come anywhere near where my level of performance was in sprints or in the high jump as opposed to the pole vault. So you really have to, it's a fine balance. On the one hand, don't hold back and don't wait from jumping in. I think you need to jump in and we'll go in with a plan, but just be ready because that plan's probably going to adapt significantly from where you originally thought. That's been the case for me for sure.
That is a very powerful thought to have because a lot of people, they fear what they don't know. And so a lot of people do have to a degree, a lot of trust in a path because there's uncertainty in their certainty. I want to do this. So I guess this is kind of how you do it, but you have to be able to have those conversations with yourself and for you to understand yourself, with self-mastery, like, I tend to not make, my first choice or gut instinct or thought isn't usually the right one. I usually have to wait for it to adapt and grow. And, you did the running, the high jumping, and the pole vaulting. That's really powerful to have. And to see where that's taking you again, because as I look at you, I see this timeline I've created for you in my head of your levels of success, your ability to give back, your genuineness. You definitely focus on others. So after this, you went into another career of helping people and being able to help people through health, a different aspect of health. Tell us what you did there.
Yeah. So, after my kind of athletic career had played out and was ready to kind of jump into the real world workforce, at the time, my father-in-law had just founded, he's a serial entrepreneur as well. he had just founded a health and nutrition kind of nutrition supplements company. This company was unique in that it utilized a direct sales model. So you really relied on building a kind of person-to-person sales team to move the products. And so, it was an interesting idea. I wasn't sure that it was kind of my long-term career path, but I saw the opportunity. And so kind of jumped in and, built that to, I'd say, a somewhat reasonable level of success. It wasn't, out of this world. It was fairly okay. And, did that for probably 2 or 3 years. Got to a point though, where it just felt like the business had plateaued, didn't really see a chance for more growth. And it was really kind of some skill sets that were very, very narrow. And while I was okay with going narrow in a career path and skills, I did feel like I was kind of missing out. I feel like there's all the hustle and bustle of the economy, the business world. I wanted to just see a little more about what that was all about. And so my wife and I had some lengthy discussions and finally concluded that would be better served to just go ahead and sell that business off, which we did. And we went to business school. So I did an MBA. Went for 2 years at University of Michigan, did an MBA there, and at that point, still didn't really know exactly what direction I wanted to go, and so I did what most MBAs that don't know what they want to do with their life do. I went into management consulting, which is basically additional time to kind of figure out where you want to go with your career. So. Management consulting is interesting because you work across a lot of different industries. You're working across a lot of different geographies. You just get exposure to a lot of different things. And so over the course of 3 years of that, I got a lot of what I liked and a lot of what I didn't like. And I think it really helped me to crystallize, I didn't know exactly from there where I wanted my career to go, but I knew where I didn't want it to go. Now it was almost a process of elimination. So that I think that was helpful in kind of taking my career from being very narrow to opening it up to a lot of new opportunities. But then again, toward the end of my consulting career, winnowing that down to a few options, which kind of I think set me up for the next phase of my career.
You brought up a couple of things that I'd like to kind of maybe dive into a little bit here. So number one, I remembered when you were going through that point, I was in discovery as well. I thought I was going to be a pilot. Everyone on my dad's side of the family were pilots, or a lot of people were anyway. And I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. Then decided, no, this isn't what I want to do. So I was going down discovery, I took like 109 credit hours trying to figure out what I wanted. Couldn't find it. I felt like I was wasting time. And I felt that desire, like that need of like, I'm wasting time. I got to jump in, because careers are made over time. And I was way underestimating what, could be done in maybe a year's time, and severely underestimated what could happen over the next like 10 years or 20 years. So I love your mindset of it. So you need to understand yourself. You need to understand what is it you really like. Because once you've found that niche and you shared without saying the words, having experiences, being able to say, I jumped into this experience. And for me, I remember working at Chili's, brother. I remember working at Chili's, making $2.17 an hour and then tips. And then, hearing, and you were never haughty about this. You're never prideful, but seeing this incredible success that you were having, like, dude, he's making X amount a year, and this is Robbie Pratt. He's amazing. But to see you walk away because it wasn't what you wanted, it wasn't, you kind of felt like it was plateaued. The only way I see it is you had a vision because you knew, I have a mentor, Liam Schubel, who says, the bigger the vision, the bigger the life. And you have to understand, what is it that you want? What do you want? Because if you don't know what you want, it's like the whole Alice in Wonderland tale, right? You come to that fork in the road and you're like, which way should I go? The Cheshire Cat says, well, what do you want? Where do you want to go? And if the answer is, I don't know, then it doesn't matter what path you take. But I love that thought you had, or that you gave, was, well, like, even though I had a vision of what I wanted, I knew that it wasn't quite this. So it had to have been this. And then you went on and went to school, and then now to see at the level of all of those things that have created and transformed you, not only as a person, as a husband, as a father, but as an incredibly successful entrepreneur that literally you give people a place to live. You employ so many people. You are able to make such an impact, and you now have options. One of the things we teach here, you guys, obviously the Abundant Mind and some of our other groups is freedom. Freedom is options, the opportunity to do whatever you want, whenever you want, from wherever you are. And that's what you've created. So tell us about what you've created now and the impact, kind of your vision, the things that you're excited about with that.
Yeah. So, one of the things I had long believed in and studied, but until that point had not really jumped into, was real estate investing. And I've always been intrigued by the concept of passive income, right? The ability to actually go buy assets that will generate passive income. And really, I think at the end of the day, from an economic standpoint, that's really the safety, the security, right? I mean, the only real safety in life, the only real security in life is your personal relationship with God and with your family. That's my belief. But from a temporal, from an economic standpoint, I think the security comes from passive income. We have to find ways to do that, because what's going to happen to you tomorrow in your career? And that was a question I had in my mind. I'm one car wreck away. If I'm a surgeon, I'm one, sawmill accident away, right? Whatever. I mean, you use your hands, you use your mind, you use your mouth. You're one episode away from really being unemployed or unemployable. And so you've got to build up residual passive income, and real estate kind of offers a way to do that can be very dependable if it's done in the right way. So, while I was, in my consulting career, I was also doing some real estate investing kind of on the side, and, single family homes. And it just kind of grew to a point where it was tough to manage. And so I looked around and thought, it's probably time to maybe wrap these few single family homes I have, maybe take them out to market, sell them, and then exchange into maybe a multifamily unit that's all in one place and it's a little bit easier to manage. There were some family friends that we had back when at the time we were living in Houston. There were some family friends we had back when we lived in Utah, and just great people, great family, and they kind of built a sizable portfolio in manufactured housing. Sometimes referred to as mobile home parks, but typically a little bit nicer. Mm-hmm. So I decided to take a look at that. Hey, is that something to examine? And really did a deep dive into the industry and saw, there was a great opportunity there. And it actually coincided with the great need that I was seeing across our country, which is affordability in housing. There's, and that was 7 or 8 years ago, and it's only gotten worse since. So at the time, made the decision and ended up selling my single family portfolio. Small, I say portfolio, it was pretty small. It was 3 or 4 units. And still didn't really have enough capital at that point to go buy the first asset. So, I called my former business partner, which was my father-in-law, and said, "Hey, here's the plan. What do you think?" And he saw the vision, so he kind of put his capital at risk, and we kind of pooled our money, and it was mostly his money and a little bit of my money, but we went out and bought several of these communities, of these properties, and it turned into just kind of from a little side gig to pulling more and more time, to the point where it was now requiring full time, and so full attention. So I just made the decision to go ahead and I'd just been recently promoted in management consulting to manager role. That was a big push to get there. Huge support from my wife to make that happen, and we felt like we kind of notched a win there. This is a good time to move on. So I said farewell to my colleagues in management consulting, and I think Catherine thought I was crazy, lost my mind, but jumped full time into this real estate acquisition and property management gig. And wow. It was a little bit tough to let go. You sleep at night, you lay your head down at night, realizing that 100% of all of your income and your family's income, and your partner, it's all on you. It's 100% on you. And so, it was really another level of, I don't know. I don't know if commitment is the word, or just, there's risk. There's risk for sure. And so we tried to make it as calculated as possible. We tried to lower that risk as low as possible, but there was still that risk. So jumped in and just tried to operate as well as we could in this small portfolio that we had amassed. And within about a year and a half, we were having great success. And to the point where, we had so many kind of friends and family and people who had seen what we were doing. So many people were inquiring. They just kind of said, "Hey, would you consider taking some of our money and going and buying some more properties?" And so we ultimately said, let's just set up a fund. We'll go, raise some capital from some of the folks who were asking to go in, and then we'll just go rinse and repeat. We'll just go do the same thing. And we did that. Our first fund was in 2017, and that went pretty well. And we had our next fund with in 2018, and connected with one of our kind of friends and family individuals, was longtime family friend of my father-in-law, just very dear friend. And he said, "Hey, would you consider allowing me to kind of bring in kind of my contacts?" And he's very well connected, and we said, "Sure, we'll do that." And so one thing's led to another, and here we are in our seventh fund, and we've just been very, very blessed with just excellent investors, excellent properties we've been able to purchase, a great staff, a great team, and frankly, underpinning it all has been my wife and the spouses of everyone else who kind of works around here. But none of this would be possible without her support and effort. But anyway, today we have about 25,000 units that we're operating. It's about 75 properties around the country, and we're proud to be able to offer affordable, attainable, quality housing to right around 60,000 Americans, right around 23,000 households, and that's kind of what we're up to now.
To see where you've been and to see where you are is incredible. Obviously, as a dear friend, someone who I consider blood, I consider you a brother. But also to see where you are, it brings me such joy. I still remember we did a double date with you and your sweetheart, and I remember I was like, "Oh yeah, double date." We were, we were. This was like early, like right after our missions, where we both at that one point were so poor we had to save up to be poor, and I remember we did a double date, and afterwards we had bought some ice cream. I still remember, and I learned a great lesson from this. I bought some ice cream, came to our house, and I remember your sweetheart saying like, "Oh, that's so kind of you. Thank you." It's like, "Oh, no, thank you. Like, I'm running, I'm doing these other things. I just can't do that right now. But hey, you guys please enjoy." And my first thought was, "Oh my gosh, she knows what she wants." And I remember you saying, yeah, you know what? Hey, no, thank you. Like, you guys feel free to eat. And I remember it was funny. It was a lesson on ice cream. But as you go through these little funny little, lessons you've learned in life, I've learned so many times that there can be something really sweet in front of you. But if that something can distract you from the ultimate goal of what you really want to achieve, it's not worth it. And I learned a huge lesson from that mindset from you and your sweetheart. I don't think you and I have ever even discussed this before, but it was a lesson on ice cream that's really changed a good portion of the trajectory of my life. Where is this ice cream? I bring it to is this ice cream? Is this something that, like, if I want ice cream, sure, I'll have a bowl. But is it getting me closer to what I want? Is it going to distract me? Is it going to be that much harder to avoid in the future? And I've seen that with you on multiple levels of your life with successes. And you've just shared multiple ways of how you've changed and said, this wasn't what I grew. I learned a lesson. I learned this is exactly what I wanted. I needed this. I gleaned and pulled this from over here, and I pulled this from over there. But you've learned of what is it that you truly, truly want in life, and then how to use leverage. You have such leverage right now with connections, being able to create something of such massive value and being able to leverage. A lot of us fear like, well, I don't have, therefore I can't achieve. Well, who does? You've discovered in your life, what is it that you want, but you've discovered who's your who. That being your sweetheart, your best friend, being your father-in-law, being other people you brought in, and to see this massive impact that is not only changing and blessing people's lives to live in beautiful locations, to upgrade their life, but it's also taking care of you and your family. And so being able to look up some of the, the assets you guys have done is just awe-inspiring. And so what's next? You said you guys have just done your 7th fund, or you're doing it now, or you've already done it?
Yeah, we're in the midst of wrapping it up.
Okay. For those of you guys who are interested, we're going to have Robbie's information below here. We have hundreds of accredited investors. We have people who are always looking for the right people and the right vision and businesses to go into. So I'm sure we'll definitely be talking, and you'll get probably a lot of people with a lot of questions. For those who would like to have questions for you, obviously professionally, and those who would like to collaborate with you, what is the best way for them to get a hold of you or to put themselves in contact with you and your company for future growth or connection?
Couple things. I'm a big fan of the personal connections. And so, I would say, really reach out to Dr. Hansen. Reach out to Dr. Hansen. I'd love to. I'm happy to set up a call. Happy to do interact and so forth. I'm a big believer of kind of getting connected through connections. So I would say. Any connection, any friend of Dr. Hansen's, I'm eager to connect with as well.
I appreciate it, and obviously this whole point was you giving back and you sharing who you are. But I know that there will be opportunity here to bless other people's lives, not only through being able to see a very small window of what your life has been to get you here, but to see massively where it is going. So the things I've gleaned from this is knowing your vision. I see things that you've accomplished in your life. And I'm like, gosh, how did you accomplish that? It seems so difficult. And as I've implemented some of the things after seeing you do it, and some of the greats, some of my mentors and people, some of my heroes in my life, when I've seen them do it, it's that thought of, okay, well, this was hard, but it now seems easy. Well, what's changed? It's still the same thing. I'm still lifting 200 pounds, but I've done it enough where I've now received the power in order to do it. The fight didn't get easier, more power has come. And that's what I learn is not only from a personal vision standpoint, but knowing what is it that you want, knowing how to leverage others, and knowing that it's okay to have experiences. We have so many people, more than better than I, some of the greatest people who've ever lived, as far as people who've created empires of wealth, didn't do it until they were in their 40s, some in their 50s, right? As we kind of close up here, what are some of the words that you would share with others if there are other Robbie Pratts out there that are saying like, hey, I am at a level of success. My family is well fed. We have everything we'd ever want monetarily, but I'm not fulfilled. And there's more I can have. There's more impact I can make. And there's more impact I should make in order to make a bigger difference. And it's something that they want. What do you share to those people who have been where you have been and are at where you are, and when it comes to future development and growth?
That's a good question. Obviously, someone who's had some success, there's a mindset to get there, right? And that's, I totally the mindset, that's the compass. That's the focus that gets you to your destination. I think it comes down to just self-reflection and introspection. Taking that time to understand. I think you've referenced this a few times today. What is it that you want from your life? You only get one. What is it that you want? What is it that's going to make you happy? And what is it that's going to be able to make other people happy as well? The high level of success in business, that's not going to necessarily make you happy, right?
Correct.
It's really ancillary. I think, going back to a foundation, to a core, I think your personal relationship with those that are closest to you, right? Including, your relationship with God as him. I think these are the things that bring you the happiness and the fulfillment. I think everything else can be fun. Everything else can be, a challenge that you give yourself, or maybe choose not to, and that's okay. I think just finding what makes you tick. What is it? What is your vision? What do you want out of life? And then once you have all that clear, make a plan to get there. And then as you go through that plan, get ready for change. Your vision may change. You may realize, I thought I wanted this, I actually want this, right? And just be flexible and be adaptable. And that's really been, that's the advice I can give, because that's what I have lived. And I certainly can't give advice that I haven't lived. And so that would be my kind of concluding advice here.
Thank you, Robbie. And you're absolutely right. And, when I was sharing my original vision of I was going to be a pilot, there is nothing wrong with being a pilot. There's nothing wrong with that. Being able to be who you are, to fulfill you. I was talking to a gentleman, Brian Bogart, who he had a multi-million dollar business and sold it because he was getting farther away from being the husband, the father, and person he wanted to be. And he said, well, yeah, I had success, but it wasn't who I wanted. There are people who say, I teach, I clean homes, I build homes, and I make a meager income, but I'm fulfilled. I'm very fulfilled. And there's danger in the greed of more, just to have more. But you have to decide, like you said, who are you? What is your relationship with God? What is your relationship with yourself? What is your relationship with the people that you love most and that love you most? And when those are clear, your understanding of who you are becomes clear, and you'll understand are you where you want to be? Do you have what you want? Are you around who you want to be with? Are you achieving your why in life? Are you fulfilled? And if not, it's okay to be able to take side steps to say, it's attractive over here, but pursue it. There's going to be challenges that come. I guarantee you, when you started the Olympics, it didn't just like, I own this, I'm the best at it. No, you had to work at it. You had to work at that other, you had to work with selling, health with your father-in-law. You had to work with school. You had to put work in. And there are going to be trials that are difficult, but we don't quit at difficulty. But with great difficulty becomes then passion and knowledge to understand where you're at. So being able to do that, it's okay to take side steps. So many people say, no, you can't. They call it quitting, right? No, you can't quit. Well, no, there's lessons to learn. And when I've gone through the process, I've got my degree, I've earned it. There are so many opportunities to then really hone in what you want. I'm so grateful to have had you on today. Grateful for your wisdom, for your humility, for your accessibility. So again, you guys will, For those that like to connect with Robbie, obviously I have my information below. Anywhere you guys consume social media, I'm Dr. Dr. Jake Hansen. We have my information below. If you go to drjakehansen.com and like to get a hold of us, you can contact us there. All of our personal information is there. Robbie, thank you so much for being on today. I'm so excited to be able to connect with you, to see where you've been in your life, where your future is, and the impact you're making. But I'm happy to see that you're happy. I'm happy to see that you're fulfilled. I'm happy to see that you're a man of God, that you love who you are, that you love your wife. You're a good husband. You're a good father. And you can do that while still attaining. You don't lose yourself by choosing to do what you do. You're only gaining who you are. And that is what you can do, you guys, as you follow this path of success to achieving an abundance mindset. So thank you for being on the show today, Robbie. We're grateful for you, and may God bless you.
Thank you, Jake. Really appreciate that. Pleasure to be on here.